All right, ladies and gentlemen, Zohran Mamdani just became the mayor of New York City. We're talking about a self-described socialist Marxist Muslim that is now leading America's most capitalist city. This is the day after. We're talking about the results of the elections that took place last night on Tuesday, November the 4th, where the overwhelming majority allegedly voted this man into office. We're going to talk about the ramifications of this, and we're going to show you a different angle to this than a lot of watchmen are talking about. Because listen, a lot of watchmen today are focused on the political angle of this, but I want to show you the perspective of this from a biblical stance, and why this could be yet another sign of God's disfavor and his hand of favor being lifted off of America. We're going to talk, and today we're going to show you why America's in deep trouble. If something doesn't change, then we're in deep trouble, because we've got this going on, and we've got another potential crisis looming, wherein which now we have Russia that is threatening to send hypersonic missiles to Venezuela. You've got China that is now sided with Venezuela. And you've got the Trump administration that is literally, the clock is ticking on full military action in Venezuela. What's going to happen? How's Russia going to respond? How's China going to respond? So we're going to talk about the ramifications of these two headlines in today's podcast. So buckle up and let's go.
The following program is brought to you by friends and partners of End Time Headlines.
All right, what's going on, guys? It is Wednesday, November the 5th. This is our 8 p.m. Eastern hour. This is End Time Headlines, news and headlines from a prophetic perspective. And of course, I'm your host, Ricky Scaparo, the founder and the voice of End Time Headlines. We want to welcome you to tonight's program. And as always, let us know if this is your first time joining us, coming into the program, finding us, whatever the case would be. Let us know in the chat or in the comments that you're new and where you guys are tuning in from. And if we could get everybody to help us out, hit that like button to help us out, and then to benefit you here on YouTube, if you'll hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification, that's going to ensure that you catch all of our programs when we put them out, when we put out new content as well. And we always like to say, take it a step further. The best thing you can do is download our free app available on Apple and Android devices. You can pick it up at your Play Store, or if you're watching the video of this on YouTube, under the description of this video, if you'll see a link, it says download our free app. If you'll just click on that link, it'll take you to the page where you can download it. And then once you do that, hit yes to push notifications, and then everything's going to be right there at your fingertips, what you need. The breaking news, the prophecy updates, the podcast. Last night, if you did not tune in, we did a live broadcast last night at 8 p.m. Eastern, and it was an equipping message, and it was powerful, and the Holy Spirit moved. And I know a lot of you come here just for information, but I'm telling you, if you ever need a refreshing from the presence of the Lord, you need to get in on some of them powerful messages in those gatherings, because we had a lot of people in here last night on a Tuesday night to be a part of that. We had a wonderful time. You can find that in archives. If you missed that, when you go on our channel, look under the live broadcast, and you'll find that. If you're listening by Apple or Spotify, it's out there as well. And we appreciate you guys. And if you'll give us a good review, that's as good as hitting that like button here on the video platform of this. So everybody knows the news by now, guys. If you're not, then again, and I know everybody that watches this is not everybody that lives in the United States of America, but for us who live here in the U.S., we all know that the Zohran Mamdani, he identifies as a Marxist socialist. He's not hiding it. He has won this election. Now look at this. This is a headline from Fox News. The hidden reason New Yorkers voted for a socialist Marxists, and it's not what you think. Now, I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now that, again, this article is focused on the political aspect of this, and we'll get into this, but did they really vote in this man, or was this man selected to win? Let me say that again. Did the American people really vote for this man, or was he already selected? Now, again, depending on what your belief system is on politics, some of you all, and look, don't get mad at me, but as many of you guys know, my perspective on this has turned dramatically, did a complete 180 in the last election. And I said before, I believe it's more than ever that these candidates, who they want, and I say they, I'm talking about the elites, the people that are above these presidents, above these candidates, above the mayors and the governors and the senators and the congressmen and these elected officials. They're above it. We're talking about the ones who are pulling the strings as far as flesh and blood goes, okay, in these worldly political systems. I believe they have already established well before who is going to win the elections in order to carry out a greater agenda. Now, that's my opinion, but I will tell you this, according to the Word of God, it is, according to the book of Daniel chapter 2, it is God who changes times and seasons and removes kings and sets up kings. So here's what we know. So again, this is what we've got here. Either and this is scary to think about this, but either the people of New York have completely gone socialist Marxists and they actually voted this man in. That's one belief system. Second belief system is he was pre-selected and he was put in that position by the powers that be. Those are the only two options. But here's the deal. You've got this side, but at the top of this, we know that we don't wrestle flesh and blood, right? Come on, somebody. Ephesians chapter 6. We deal with principalities, powers, and rulers of darkness and spiritual wickedness in heavenly hosts and high places. That's according to the Apostle Paul and to the church of Ephesus. It's written in Ephesians chapter 6. And we know above all those principalities in heaven and earth, and in the sea and the dry land, there is one above all them, and it's God Almighty. And again, according to Daniel chapter 2, ultimately, whomever the Lord wills and permits for his purpose, he changes times and seasons, removes and sets up kings for that ultimate purpose. Now, why am I telling you all this? Because you're going to see where I'm going with this today in just a moment, because I'm going to give you a different angle. Because again, I know there's a lot of preachers out there and even watchmen who they get real political about this, and all they're going to talk about is the right and the left and the political aspect of this. But we're going to show you the prophetic aspect of this, the biblical aspect of this. All right, let's go back to this article, because I do find this interesting, because they're going to try to portray this and spin this again to incite political frenzy. That's what it's doing. They want us divided, left and right. That's what they want. Okay, Mamdani just became the mayor of New York City, a self-described socialist leading America's most capitalist city. To some, that sounds like proof that the far left is taking over. But that's not what happened. Okay, well, what happened? Quote, Mamdani didn't win because New York suddenly fell in love with socialism. He won because, again, this is what they're saying, he won because, quote, he captured something every politician should be listening to right now. A, quote, deep frustration that the system doesn't feel fair anymore. So, again, they want to play you on the system has failed you. Well, what's the system? The system is the machine that has the left wing and the right wing. So if that's true, and if this assessment is true, then these people have fallen for this trick. The frustration isn't confined to struggling families or low-income voters. It's spreading among people who are doing fine. The education, ambitious, upwardly mobile professionals who were suppressed to be living the dream but can't shake the feeling that they're falling behind. So their answer to this and solution is to vote for Marxist socialism? Unbelievable. Are we not repeating history? If this is true, guys, if it is true, and that many people came out to cast their vote, and if their vote actually mattered, and they cast their vote for this guy, then, my friend, the winds of change have definitely come. Okay? Now, there's a growing class of New Yorkers who don't fit our usual political categories. They're not the working poor or the wealthy elite. They're somewhere in between. They've done everything right, the schools, the hours, the hustle, and yet they still feel stuck. Recent climb faster than salaries, taxes eat away at their paychecks. Buying a home feels impossible. They're not broke, they're just burnt out. They've stopped believing that hard work automatically leads to stability, let alone success. Wow. Okay, so what do we have here? We have a recipe, guys, that we have a recipe of desperation that's going to lead to people willingly surrendering their sovereignty over in the name of supply, in the name of provision, in the name of security and welfare. Because watch this. Let's go back to Monday's program that we did. If AI is coming, and it is, and it's here, and it's going to begin to swallow up jobs across the globe, and if these experts are correct on their assessment, and by 2027, the vast majority of jobs will be taken by AI, what's the solution? The solution is a universal income, and we will be slaves to a digital identification system. Here is your AKA beast system coming into full play. And again, I'm telling you, the people in the upper tiers, the upper threshold of this, they want this to become a reality. All right, Jewish Fire Department New York commissioner hands in his resignation the morning after anti-Israel Mamdani elected mayor. That's another thing, guys. This guy's openly anti-Israel. This guy said that he would have Benjamin Netanyahu arrested if he came into the States.
One last thought on that. You have said that you would arrest Netanyahu if he came to the United States. You've been very outspoken in your criticism of him. Do you stand by that? You would arrest him if he came here, if you were mayor?
I've said that this is a city that believes in international law, and this is a city that wants to uplift and uphold those beliefs. The Prime Minister...
The United States doesn't stand by the International Criminal Court.
It hasn't signed the treaty for the International Criminal Court. The International Criminal Court, however, has issued a warrant for the arrest of Benjamin Netanyahu.
But what grounds in the United States could you arrest him on?
As it has for Vladimir Putin. I've said that I believe that we should uphold arrest warrants by the International Criminal Court, and that we should do so only in abiding with all of the laws in front of us. I'm not going to make a new law to ensure that we can actually do this. Do you think that Commissioner
Tisch would allow you to arrest Netanyahu in New York City?
I've appreciated Commissioner Tisch's leadership of the NYPD, and I think that she's done a good job at lowering crime across the city.
This is what he said. And you do know that there's a UN headquarters in New York City. And so, and look at the amount of people across the United States is turning to anti-Semitism. They're anti-Israel. All of this is coming. It's all weaving together. Everything is making sense. The Antichrist spirit's on the rise. The spirit of iniquity or spirit of lawlessness is increasing, which is going to pave the way for the Antichrist. Everything is falling in place just like the Bible told us it would. Now let's give you another angle. This is from Valuetainment.
Let's talk strategy. If Christians in the world were in the business of going and converting everybody else, and they started targeting, like Muslims may be targeting the Western ideology, what if we targeted their ideology? What city would you go after? What's the number one city when you think about Muslims? What is the number one city in the world?
Mecca.
Think about the number one city in the world for Muslims.
That's the birth
Where is
of
it?
Islam.
Tell me the city. What do you think? I'm asking. Is it Mecca?
Sure.
Is it, what would you say is the number one city? Would you say, pick it, is it Mecca? Is it Saudi? Is it Tehran? Is it where do you go to? Whatever that city is. Imagine if you go and you take that city over and the leader of that city is officially a Christian. What's the likelihood of this happening?
Oh,
What's the likelihood of a Christian capitalist taking over Mecca?
Never going to happen.
What is it? You know what the likelihood is? Zero.
Right.
So check this out. Flip it. If the Islam religion comes to you and they hire you as a consultant, you are the consulting firm. You, that Inc., right? You're incorporated. We are hiring you. We want to impose our ideology on Western cities. What is the number one city for us to go to be able to share this ideology with? What do you think is the number one city on that list?
New York.
New York.
New York City. Boom, we got victory.
What's he saying here, guys? This is a plan of Islam. I don't know if you know this, but this is a well-known plan of Islam. And the thing about Islam is they are patient. And they will wait until the timing is perfect to strike. And what they do is they infiltrate. This is how they're infiltrating the West. They'll go to these cities. They've already taken over Michigan. Dearborn, Michigan is completely, it literally looks like somewhere in the Middle East. In fact, do y'all remember that story where this one right here, let me pull this up. I don't know if you remember this or not, but we're going to share it with you anyway, just in case you didn't know this. But this was a story that came out a while back. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer stayed silent for days after a controversy in Dearborn, Michigan, where the city's Muslim mayor scolded a Christian resident who objected to a new street signs honoring an Arab American newspaper publisher known for past statements viewed as sympathetic to terrorists.
Outrage over comments at a city council meeting in Dearborn, Michigan. The Muslim mayor telling a Christian minister he was, quote, not welcome in the city after the minister expressed concern about a new street sign honoring a controversial pro-Palestine supporter of Hamas and Hezbollah terror groups. Watch.
He talks about how the blood of the martyrs, I'm quoting, irrigates the land of Palestine. And then further quotes, he talks about how the terrorists should strike them with knives and with their bare hands, and they're victorious. And he also encourages the use of rockets over there.
The best suggestion I have for you is to not drive on Warren Avenue, or to close your eyes while you're doing it. His name is up there, and I spoke at a ceremony celebrating it because he's done a lot for this community. And although you live here, I want you to know as mayor, you are not welcome here. And the day you move out of the city will be the day that I launch a parade celebrating the fact that you moved out of the city. Because you are not somebody who believes in coexistence. You're somebody who tries to preach it, but in fact you do everything but that.
I did not respond to the mayor with hate. He shut me down. Like you saw, he was very angry. He said, "Get out of town," etc. I mean, he spoke for himself, so I don't need to repeat what he said. And I responded by saying, "God bless you, Mayor. God bless you, sir."
Ari, what grace in that individual. What are your thoughts on this whole thing?
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of former governor, now mayoral candidate in New York, Andrew Cuomo. When he was governor, he told conservatives to leave New York State, if you remember that. If you don't agree with me, you're not welcome here, thinking that the left has. Bill Maher actually talked about this last week, that they won't break bread with you. They won't listen to you. They don't want you. Conservatives don't do that in equal number to the way the left does. There's a tolerance and acceptance, and there has to be. That is the hallmark of America, to accept our differences, debate our differences, and then try to unify as best we can while knowing we have differences. You can't do that as a mayor telling a constituent you don't belong here. And especially after Charlie Kirk's death. I mean, what is the lesson that we should live in our lives, maybe change something about ourselves? Shouldn't it be to disagree respectfully with those we have other points of view?
And Lisa, brass tacks here, in my opinion, it went even further than that. Here we have a respectful minister bringing to the city council's attention the fact that they are naming street signs after terrorist organizations' sympathizers. And the response by the mayor was, well, he's done a lot for the community, and I was there at the celebration. In no way even acknowledging the fact that this constituent was bringing up, essentially, here's an adjacent to the enemy of the United States, and then tells a Christian, a person of a different faith, you are not welcome here. This is a travesty, Lisa.
But the minister was also labeled a Islamophobe and, you know, I think a fascist racist as well. So he was labeled other terms as well in addition to that. Yeah, a bigot, a racist, and Islamophobe. So beyond just saying you're not welcome here, he was assigned some pretty terrible labels. And all he was pointing out is some of the words this individual they were trying to name the street after, saying, as we just heard there, talking about how the blood of martyrs irrigates the land of Palestine, whether we're in Michigan or whether we're in Yemen. Believe me, everyone should fight within its means. They'll fight with stones. Others fight with guns. Others fight with planes, drones, and rockets. That should concern everyone. And I think we're in this place as a country, and even just globally, we're having these conversations about, you know, immigration, both legally and illegally. And now the mayor was born here in America in Dearborn, Michigan, but his parents did immigrate here, right? And we're seeing a larger percentage of the country, 15.8% of America now are foreign-born, both legal and illegal. And it just raises questions about what does this all lead to inevitably? And, you know, perhaps one point of concern is labeling streets after an individual who has said such hateful and terrible things.
And indeed, we celebrate diversity. Kennedy, the point is we don't celebrate terrorist adjacent people. And what frightens me about the mayor's command to his constituent is that it's only going to make then clearly the anti-Semitic or pro-Hamas pool even thicker, even more concentrated if those that dare to advocate for peace and putting the United States interests first are cast out.
Yeah, it reminds me of Antelope, Oregon, when the Rajneeshis moved in. And, you know, they did what I've been telling rational parents to do on school boards. Like, they ran for every seat on the city council and changed all the laws to benefit them, just assuming that anyone who opposed them would just throw up their hands and move out. And that's what this mayor wants. You know, it's like Dearborn is 40% Muslim. It's like, okay, great, that's fine. I'm sure they have, bless you, a lot of lovely people there. Having said that, he had a horrible response. If you're telling a Christian minister, you're not welcome here, I'm going to throw a parade the day you moved out. And then he says he has the nards to say he doesn't know how to coexist. And it's like, and you do? Like, you know, right. that's your big defense. It's like, move out. It's like,
you know,
it wasn't throw, it was launch a parade, by the way.
Flip this around. If a Christian mayor had said to a Muslim constituent, you're not welcome here, it would be lead the network stories everywhere.
Exactly, and rightly so. So why where's the outrage here?
Also terrible. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I was going to say terrible advice to say close your eyes while you're driving, too. Yeah. So, there's that. Worthless.
Why are we playing with hate? And why are people voting for people who are willing to play with hate? Because that's what he's doing. He's kind of trial ballooning whether or not he can quiet the people he doesn't agree with as a mayor, as an elected official, and seeing how far he can really push that. And seeing if some constituents will back him on that.
Yeah.
A road to hate. Hating Jews, hating whomever our enemies are, Hamas. It's not a safe place to be. It's free speech for that mayor if he wants to be. Let's hold him accountable for his words. And for those of you who live in his town in Michigan, if you vote for this guy again, you're like him.
That's happening, guys, in America. So their strategy is to infiltrate the West, city to city, hold government positions of authority, get in education, get in all these sectors, and eventually, if the population grows enough and they get enough influence, then eventually the goal is to introduce Sharia law, because that's the law that they want implemented. And somebody says, well, hold on, Brother Ricky, that's never going to happen. Well, before you get too cocky about that, let me read this article. This is from the Daily Mail, and this was dated on October the 22nd, so this is not too old. This was fairly recent. Quote, look at this headline. This is when Christianity will be toppled as religious majority in America as Islam rises. Let's read a little bit of this. For decades, reciting the Pledge of Allegiance was a daily reminder that the U.S. was one nation under God. But the Christian faith that once defined American values is on track to lose its majority status by 2070. Now, I know that's far off, but this could happen a lot sooner than that. According to the Pew Research Center, 62% of Americans say they are Christian now, compared to around 90% in 1970. So you see it's declining. If current trends continue, I said if they continue, Pew projects it could fall to 46% by the year 2070, a decline that has Pastor Bent Medeiros and other religious leaders sounding the alarm. This pastor to the Hometown Hope Ministries called for an urgent call for church renewal on his blog, warning that Christian communities have taken their eyes off the ball while rival faiths gain ground. The decline comes as other religions, most notably Islam, continues to grow. In the U.S., there are roughly 100,000 more Muslims annually, while there are around 2 million fewer Christians. Although Muslims still remain a small minority, with around 4 million followers compared with roughly 200 million Christians, but their communities are, quote, shaping differently on the ground. Now, you do know that they wanted to create entire communities, Islamic communities in Texas. You know that, right? But the governor shot that down. They were trying to do that in the state of Texas. Just like they did in Dearborn, they were trying to do that in the state of Texas. So again, this is their goal, guys. This is what they want to do. And I will say, there is some speculation that, and when it comes to, there's two trains of thought when it comes to eschatology, the end times, because you got to remember, guys, there's coming an Antichrist and a false prophet, and the religion, whatever the religion is of the Antichrist, we know it will have names of blasphemy. It will deny that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. It will deny that he's the Messiah, and it will require the false prophet, who will work in conjunction with the Antichrist, will institute a system of the beast, this mark of the beast, where the people of the earth will have to pledge their allegiance to whatever the religion is of the Antichrist. There's two trains of thought. One is the traditional train of thought, which is the Antichrist will rise up out of a revised Roman Empire, and he could be a Jew. A lot of people believe he'll be a Jew. Some people believe he'll be a Gentile. But there's another camp that believes the Antichrist will be Islam. He'll be Islamic. And we could go a whole 30 minutes on that, on why that's possible. Because of the names of blasphemies. Again, remember, Islam does not believe that Jesus is the Son of God. They don't believe he was the Messiah. And, even if you go to Mecca in Saudi Arabia, they have what's called the Kaaba, and they go around and they march around that temple, and there's the dome of the rock, that black alleged rock that was there that allegedly came out of space, and they march around this thing. They do this once a year. It's called the Hajj. This is Islamic March in Mecca. And this thing, we're talking about millions of this in a 5-day event, and they all march around this thing, circling the Kaaba and other holy sites to Islam in Saudi Arabia or in Mecca. So this is what PBD is talking about here in this podcast. So let's get back to this. I want you to hear this perspective here.
They just won, and they took over that city. Congratulations to you. Do you know, if you're a Muslim, how massive of a victory this is for them?
Yep.
It's massive. Here's the question. Do Americans, who the founding fathers built the greatest country in the world ever, that did in 249 years what a couple countries couldn't do in thousands of years, will they protect it? Or will they be walking on eggshells and saying, it's not a big deal, no one's going to be leaving New York City? Here's the reality. To all the people that are saying no one's leaving New York City, to all the people that saw that, Unusual Whales or whatever that account is that says 756,000 New Yorkers will definitely, keyword, are definitely moving out of New York City if Mamdani wins. This is 9% of New York City residents saying they definitely would move out of New York City if he wins. An additional 2.12 million New Yorkers said they would consider leaving should he take office. Here's the reality of it. Let's flip it. Forget about who's moving out of New York City. Here's my question for you. Who's moving to New York City? You ready? Let's talk about who it's a good climate for now.
Muslims.
There's a video clip of him saying, why are we putting people in jail? He wants to release them. If you're a criminal, hello, I'm moving to New York City.
Right.
Number two, if you're an illegal immigrant, are you kidding me? I'm moving to New York City. What if you're a Muslim? Oh my, I got Dearborn. I got a Muslim mayor in the biggest number one city in America, I'm moving to New York City.
Unbelievable.
So guess what, to all the people that said nobody will leave New York City? It's about who's coming to New York City.
Yep.
You're welcome. And they're going to come in bunches. You know how I know this? I would ask, why did Armenians move to Glendale? Why do Assyrians go to Torlock? Why do Assyrians go to Chicago? Why do Persians go to Beverly Hills? Because the first Armenian influencer moved to Glendale, then their families moved, then everybody else moved, then the world moved to Glendale. Because the first Assyrian influencer moved to Torlock, everybody else moved. Moved to Detroit, everybody else moved. Because the first Persian, Middle Eastern moved to Beverly Hills, everybody else moved. What do you think is going to happen right now to New York City? You voted for this, folks. You voted for this, and you are welcome. And
did they, though?
Your population is about to increase. Everybody else saying it's going to decrease, I think it's going to go up. My opinion. I hope I'm wrong. I'm a minority owner of the Yankees. Trust me, I hope.
And just think, all these people, all the MAGA people said, oh, this will never happen under Trump. That was all Biden, and this will never happen. A Muslim will never take over New York. We'll never have these circumstances and conditions as long as Trump is president. Well, hello, he's president, and this is still happening. Again, guys, if you've got your trust in a political leader and a political party, you're going to get let down. You're going to be disappointed.
Hope I'm wrong. But for the people that are like, how dare you say such a thing like this? And shame on you. You should not be an owner of this. No. If I lived in New York City, I would be more vocal than sitting on the sidelines saying this will never happen and not going out there rallying other people to vote. I was vocal in 2024 because I knew I didn't want Kamala. I was vocal in 2020. I risked it, even though I hadn't I was vocal in 2016. We risked it. You know what it was like to talk pro-Trump in 2016? Everybody was walking on eggshells doing that. Everybody was walking on eggshells in 2020, and then nobody else was walking on eggshells in 2024. So my concern, him and I were talking earlier saying, don't you think this is what America needs? Don't you think we almost need this case study to be able to show that what works and what doesn't work?
No.
And I said, look, I get it. I went on Jubilee and I said, I hope Mamdani wins for us.
The damage that'll be done will be irreversible.
Come back and do this 4 years later so you can see exactly what the stats are. But here's what I will tell you. Do you think if you want your kids to know how bad drugs are, would you say, why don't you try a little bit of fentanyl, see how bad it is?
Come on,
would
exactly.
you do that?
Right.
Would you say, why don't you try a little bit of cocaine? You know what the only place is? I had a friend of mine who was so addicted to drugs, it got to a point that he was trying everything. Guess what we could do at that time? Nothing. I took him to rehab. I took him to all these other things that we would. I took him to Bible study in Pasadena. Every Friday night I would pick him up, take him. So he's in the car with me, and I would see him go in his car and his black car, and he would take the pills, and he would take him. I would take the pill out of his hand. He's fighting me and another guy at the back of Shakers in Glendale saying, give it back to him. I'm not giving back to you. Done. A couple months later, he dies. Young age, 27 years old. He passes away. Till today, I think about it. This guy was a phenomenal. He's a fun guy to be around. I liked him a lot. There are certain things in America you shouldn't flirt with. This is one of them. Don't ever second guess why America became the greatest country in the world. I'm an immigrant. I wasn't born here. I was born in Iran. And then I went to Germany, then I came here. There's no place like America. Nothing. I'm grateful to be here, and I'm going to do my part. I don't need to do this. I don't need another sponsor to pay my bills. I live a very good life. The only reason we're doing this and being this vocal is because I know they're not going to slow down. I know they're not.
Nope.
And I know America's worth it. I know the right policies are worth it. I know what we have right now as the greatest country in the world, we have to do our part. But if you think this is it, this isn't it.
So guys, again, former Iranian, you don't think he knows about this? You don't think he knows? He knows exactly what this is. And this is what that's why he's sounding the alarm on this. And this is happening. Here's something I want you to realize, that when a nation turns its back on God, when a nation begins to revolt against God, when a nation begins to reject God's word, his commandments, and his statutes, if you go to Leviticus 26 and Deuteronomy 28, it tells you the ramifications of this by God removing his favor from that nation it permits and it allows bad things to begin to happen to that nation. If you have your Bible, you guys listen by Apple or by Spotify, I'm going to go to Deuteronomy chapter 28. You guys, I'll pull this up on the screen. So I'll just highlight it. I'm not going to read this whole chapter, but up here at the bottom, it says, now it shall come to pass, if you diligently obey the voice of the Lord your God to observe carefully to all of his commandments, which I command you today, that the Lord your God will set you high above all nations of the earth, and all these blessings shall come upon you and overtake you because you obey the voice of the Lord your God. Now, when we read this, these individuals will say, well, this was only for Israel and this does not apply to other nations. I beg to differ. That is not true. Yes, the primary context of this was the blessing and cursing to the nation of Israel. But you start reading the book of Proverbs, you go into Matthew chapter 26 or 27, somewhere around there. I think it's Matthew 26. There will be, the nations of the earth will be judged based on what they did with their understanding and revelation of God's will and his purpose, how they treated people, how they treated the poor, and so on and so forth. So those nations that obeyed the voice of the Lord, they walked in his commandments, obeyed his statutes, God said they would be blessed above all on the earth and they would have the favor of God. However, when you read down, again, this is in Deuteronomy chapter 28, you get down here and he says here that if you turn from God, if you turn from the Lord as a nation, if any nation turns from the Lord and do all these things, and I'm going to read, again, we're not going to read all this, guys. I'm just going to read the highlighted portions here. Deuteronomy 28:33. A nation whom you have not known shall eat the fruit of your land and the produce of your labor, and you shall only be oppressed and crushed continually. Verse 36, the Lord will bring you and the king whom you set over you to a nation which neither you nor your fathers have known, and there you shall serve other gods, wood and stone, and you shall become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations where the Lord will drive you. Translation, that nation ultimately, inevitably, will go into captivity. And you will become an astonishment and a proverb and a byword to all the nations around. They'll stand back and say, how in the world could this have ever happened to a nation like America? This is the country that everyone wanted to be a part of. They all wanted to move here. They wanted to be a part of what America had to offer. They were the greatest nation on the face of the earth. What happened to them? How did they get to this point? How did they become like this? We're showing you. All right? Look at this. Let's go down here. Verse 43. The alien who is among you shall rise higher and higher above you, and you shall come down lower and lower. He shall lend to you, but you shall not lend to him, and he shall be the head, and you shall be the tail. That sounds like economic oppression, economic depression, debt. Is America not trillions of dollars in debt right now? Is there not political games going on right now? And as a result of these political games, millions of people are not getting the supplies, the food, and the things in which they need. And children are being impacted and affected by this. Verse 49. The Lord will bring a nation against you from afar off, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flies, a nation whose language you will not understand, a nation of fierce countenance which does not respect the elderly nor show favor to the young. Some believe, and it's of my opinion, and I agree with these voices, many believe this is exactly what happened on 9/11. America thought they were high on their horse, they were untouchable, and what happened? A nation from far into the earth, whose language we didn't understand, a nation of fierce countenance that does not respect the elderly nor show favor to the young, came and infiltrated our country. And again, I don't want to get into the whole conspiracy about this because some of y'all, well, that's not what happened. Listen, again, I don't have time to debate this. But we were invaded on 9/11. There was a breach in our nation. The hand of favor was removed by the Lord, and he permitted what happened on 9/11 of 2001 to happen. Regardless of who carried it out, it was still permitted by God, right? They shall eat the increase of your livestock and the produce of your land until you are destroyed. They shall not leave you grain or wine or oil or the increase of your cattle or the offspring of your flocks until they have completely destroyed you. This is all Deuteronomy 28. I want to remind you in the Bible that when anytime Israel disobeyed God as a nation, God appointed over them wicked tyrants and leaders to bring them in oppression and captivity and bondage. It's there. For example, let's just show you some examples of this. King Saul, remember this? Israel demanded a king. They wanted to be like the Gentile nations. They demanded a king. They didn't want God's they didn't want a theocracy. They wanted a king. They wanted a king. And remember, this grieved the Lord. And Samuel, the prophet, was grieved. And according to 1 Samuel 8:7, God spoke to Samuel, said, listen, they've not rejected you, but they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them. Therefore, God gave them the desires of their heart. You want a king? Here you go. So God gave them King Saul. He was tall, he was impressive, he was a charismatic leader, he was proud, and he was disobedient. And because of Saul's reign, it became an example of what happens when people demand leadership according to their fleshly desires instead of spiritual obedience. What happened? King Saul failed them, and they paid the price for this. Then you had the time of Rehoboam, which was Solomon's son, who refused wise counsel and listened to arrogant young advisors. His harshness caused Israel to split into two kingdoms. You had Israel on the north and Judah on the south. All of this was, according to 1 Kings 11, 9 through 13, was God's judgment on Solomon's sin and the people's idolatry. You could say it was a civil war. A civil war came to Israel because their disobedience to God. Then you had and then let's talk about Ahab and Jezebel. Ahab led Israel into Baal worship and the persecution of God's prophets who were targeted. And God allowed his rule as a reflection of Israel's own rebellion. The people had turned to idols, and their king mirrored their corruption. Oh, you hear what I said? What happens in leadership is stemmed from the people and the nation. So whatever the heartbeat of the nation is, it is reflected on the leadership that's risen up. So I'm just telling you, it's there, guys. Then you had when Israel and Judah persisted in idolatry and refused to repent and turn back to the true living God, God used foreign wicked kings as instruments of his judgment. For example, the Assyrian army conquered the northern kingdom of Israel in 2 Kings. Babylon, under the rule of Nebuchadnezzar, took Judah into exile. That's in 2 Kings. Are you hearing what I'm saying? So the bottom line is, when the people of God, when a nation rejects God, his laws and his statutes, God allows them to be ruled by leaders who reflect their rebellion. While everybody's getting political about this, I just want to throw this out there and say, is this the judgment of God? Because again, we're not in the wrath of God. That doesn't come until the tribulation. But is this yet another selective judgment that has now come to America? Because again, we're not talking about the remnant church here, guys. We're not talking about the remnant church. I'm talking about, is the nation as a whole, has it repented and turned back to God? No. No, it has not. And we know that. You know that. I know that. Let's not beat around the bush here. And I believe this is what's happening. And this is, and if that's the case, guys, this is the tip of the iceberg of what's coming. Because meanwhile, now I want to switch gears here. We've got another predicament that's unfolding right now. In 1962, the United States was absolutely determined to keep Russian missiles out of Cuba. Some of you all remember this. Some of you won't. I was not even born yet. Again, in 1962, the U.S. was determined to keep Russian missiles out of Cuba because any Russian missiles launched from Cuba could potentially deliver nuclear warheads to major U.S. cities on the East Coast in just minutes. After all these years later, we're now facing another similar situation. And that's because the Russians are now considering sending hypersonic missiles to Venezuela. Let me pull this up. I want to show you this headline right here. We're going to read this. Russia could provide its most advanced hypersonic missiles to Venezuela amid frayed relations with the U.S. The Kremlin claims this Orshnik missile is impossible to intercept and can carry conventional and nuclear warheads. The deputy chairman of Russia's Parliamentary Defense Committee warned that, quote, the Americans may be in for some surprises. Let me say that again, quote, the Americans may be in for some surprises as he opened the door to a, quote, weapons transfer to Venezuela. Quote, I see no obstacles to supplying a friendly country with new developments such as this type of missile. These are called Caliber missiles, according to the Russian news website. The Orshnik missile, translating as hazel tree, is capable of striking any target across the European continent in under an hour if launched from Russia or Belarus, according to Moscow. Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, has insisted that the missiles are so mighty that using several of them in a strike with conventional warheads would be just as catastrophic as a nuclear attack. Now, according to the New York Times, this comes as the Trump administration has developed a range of options for military action in Venezuela. Let me pull this up, guys. I'm going to show you what I'm looking at so we can read this together. Here we go. The Trump administration has developed a range of options for military action in Venezuela, including direct attacks on military units to protect President Maduro and moves to seize country of the country's oil fields, according to multiple U.S. officials. President Trump has yet to make a decision about how or even whether to proceed. Officials said he was reluctant to approve operations that may place American troops at risk or could turn into an embarrassing failure, but many of his senior advisors are pressing for one of the most aggressive options, and that is ousting Maduro from power. So there is a consensus here that if Putin supplies missiles to Venezuela, then Trump could ultimately provide cruise missiles to Ukraine. So we have a scenario here, guys, that could get real ugly real fast. Okay? Then you had another report that came out in which China has thrown their support behind Venezuela as well. No surprise there. And then I don't know if you saw this report, but there was a 60 Minutes interview where Trump stunned the journalists. And as he broke the terrifying news about China and Russian nukes, Donald Trump claimed that China and Russia are carrying out secret underground doomsday nuclear weapons testing. This is according to, again, a recent 60 Minutes interview. The president stunned 60 Minutes Norah O'Donnell, who stated she believed Russia had tested the missiles but not the warheads during an interview on Sunday. Russia's testing and China's testing, but they don't talk about it, Trump said. They don't have reporters that are going to be writing about it. We do. O'Donnell attempted to push back on the claim, telling Trump that would certainly be very newsworthy. My understanding was that what Russia did was test the delivery system of the nuclear weapons and not with nuclear warheads. Pressed on the topic, Trump replied, quote, as powerful as they are, this is a big world. You don't necessarily know where they're testing. They test way underground where people don't know exactly what's happening with the test. You feel a little bit of a vibration. So again, you've got this news, and then I don't know if you saw this, but you remember the mystery drones are back. Look at this. Did y'all see this? Mystery drones buzz military base storing, look at this, U.S. nuke weapons twice in 24 hours as helicopters scrambled and jammers deployed. Let's read a little bit about this. All right, mysterious drones were reported flying over I love how they say mysterious drones. We still can't identify these drones. Give me a break. They're reported flying over a military base storing U.S. nuclear arms twice in just 24 hours, according to this report. A police helicopter and jammer were hastily deployed in a bid to chase and disrupt the radio waves of the 3 devices hovering above the Kleinbrogel Air Base near Pier, Belgium. Okay, so this happened in Belgium. It comes just weeks after NATO revealed it's ramping up its air defenses as rogue drones continue to menace European airports and bases. According to Belgian Defense Minister, the drones were, quote, spotted, again, this was a couple days ago, flying at higher altitudes and were on clear mission targeting the military base. In a post on X, he urgently appealed for more funding to counter the attack, adding helicopter and jammer were unsuccessful in deterring the devices. The flights breached what is considered one of Europe's most sensitive military spots, widely believed to house U.S. nuclear weapons. So, folks, again, we've got some real problems brewing in America. We've got some real problems that are percolating and brewing in America. We've got now the cities in America are being infiltrated by radicalists. And again, you can believe what you want. I believe this is highly sophisticated and well orchestrated to eventually collapse America as the leading superpower of the world, because it is a thorn in the flesh of to where these people want to take us, where these elites want us to go, as far as, and again, we're just going to call it the beast system, because that's ultimately where this is going to lead to. So we got that. We've got this potential scenario for World War III brewing with Venezuela, with China, with Russia, with America. What's going to come of this? How's this going to play out? Then you've got this other situation with the SNAP benefits. I want to give you the latest on this, and then we're going to go ahead and close this out for tonight. According to the latest report, Trump suggests that the U.S. will not pay any SNAP benefits during the shutdown. So this thing is still going on, and this contradicts a court filing. Here's the key points of this. President Donald Trump suggested that the U.S. would not pay any SNAP benefits during the government shutdown. The Trump administration on Monday told a Rhode Island federal judge it would pay about half of the cost of the food stamp program in November. About 42 million Americans receive food stamp benefits through the Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program. So what does this mean? It means, again, this is another concoction that's going to fester a lot of angry, hungry, desperate people. And when you've got that kind of environment and you've got that concoction, this is a recipe for civil unrest in America. So there's a lot to think about and a lot to pray about, ladies and gentlemen. And we wanted to give you this update. Again, it's something, when you get in your prayer time, you get in your prayer closet, you need to be praying for our country. You need to be praying for these things. These are things that we wanted to get you aware of and get you alert on and be watchful, and things to pray about. And we wanted to give you a perspective to understand. And you say, well, again, where's the redemptive hope in this? The redemptive hope in this is, again, remember, even when the 4 Hebrew boys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and Daniel all went into Babylonian captivity, they were still the remnant guys in Babylon. They were sold out to Yahweh. They were sold out to Elohim. They were sold out to God, even while they were in the midst of captivity. So I call it a kingdom within a kingdom. We have the kingdom of the United States, if you would, but we are a part of the kingdom of heaven. Our system does not operate on the kingdom of the government. My source is not the government. My source is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. As long as I am in right standing with the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, I know that I was young and now I'm older. I am not saying I'm old, but I'm older, and I have yet to see the righteous forsaken, nor his seed beg of bread. Why? Because God knows who is his. He knows how to deliver those who are his, and he knows how to keep those who are his from temptation. The point is, we are marked by God. If you're in covenant with God, you're marked by God. He knows your name. He knows who you are. There's a book in heaven called the Book of Remembrance. Read it. It's in the book of Malachi. And it says that the names written in that book are those who fear the Lord and meditate on his name. And the Bible says, oh, come on, somebody. He says, I will spare them like a man spares his precious jewels. So I'm not concerned about that. My concern is for those who don't know the Lord. That's why it is imperative that we as believers continue to preach the gospel, spread the gospel, and get the word out while there is still an opportunity, where there's a window of grace and mercy to do that, because the end of the age is approaching, when that window of grace will shut and we'll enter into the full age of apostasy and the rise of the Antichrist and the tribulation period. So I want to leave you with Luke 21:28. As always, Jesus said, when you begin to see all these things coming to pass, look up and lift up your heads, because your redemption is drawing near. Guys, again, endtimeheadlines.org, endtimeheadlines.com. If you would like to bookmark our website, you can find it there. Again, we do have a free app. It's available. And if this ministry is a blessing to you and you would like to support our ministry or partner with us, here's a quick video on how you can partner with End Time Headlines, and we'll be right back.
If you enjoy our content and would like to partner with End Time Headlines, helping us make more people aware of the times and seasons which we are in from a prophetic perspective, you can go to endtimeheadlines.org and click Support. Here you can give a one-time gift or a monthly pledge on our main website. This page also shows you how to give electronically through Cash App or Venmo. If you would like to give by check or money order, you can make it out to End Time Headlines at P.O. Box 1391, Monroe, Georgia 30655. Or you can give through our free End Time Headlines app by pressing the bottom right button that says Donate.
All right, again, that's going to wrap it up for this Wednesday night, November the 5th. Thank you so much, guys, for jumping on to the program and being part of our broadcast. And also thank you guys who are continual partners of our ministry. All of our new partners, we thank you so much for your contribution and your giving. That allows us to keep doing what we do week after week after week, and we appreciate that. So we're going to sign off for tonight, guys. And again, Lord willing, we'll be back here tomorrow night on the 6th of November, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, right here on our YouTube channel. So until we see you guys on the next one, I pray the Lord bless you, may keep you, and may his countenance shine upon you. We'll see you soon.
Thank you for listening to the End Time Headlines podcast. We pray that you've been blessed and equipped by today's message. For more information about how you can help partner with our ministry, please visit endtimeheadlines.org.